Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Today we read from two shlokas from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Shloka number 41. This one does not have a purport, so I just read the shloka and translation, and then we do the chanting together for shloka number 42. Tam Narada Priya Mano Rikta Danam Anuvrata Shushrushamana Shilena Prashrena Damena Cha. Translation by Joint Guide Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Narada, the most dear of the inheritor sons of Brahma, always ready to serve his father, strictly follows the instructions of his father by his mannerly behavior, meekness and sense control. Shloka number 42. Maya Vividishan Vishnu Maya Vividishan Vishnu Maya Chasya Mahamunihi Maheshasya Mahamunihi Mahabhagavato Rajan Mahabhagavato Rajan Pitaram Paryatsayat Pitaram Paryatsayat Mayam Vividashan Vishnu Maheshasya Mahamunihi Mahabhagavato Raja Pitaram Paryotsayat Mayam Vividishan Vishnu Maheshasya Mahamunihi Mahabhagavato Raja Pitaram Paryotsayat
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu
Maheshasya Mahamunihi Mahabhagavato Rajan Pitaram Paryatosayat
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu
Maheshasya Mahamunihi
Maheshasya Mahamunihi
Mahabhagavato Rajan
Mahabhagavato Rajan
Paryatoshayat
Pitaram Paryatosayat Mayam Vividishan Vishnu Maheshasya Mahamunihi Mahabhagavato Rajan Pitaram Paryatosayat
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu
Maheshasya Mahamuni
Maheshasya Mahamunihi
Mahabhagavato Rajan
Mahabhagavato Rajan
Pitaram Paryotasayat
Pitaram Paryosayat. Mataji's. Somebody make attempt. Mayam Vividishan Vishnu
Maheshasya Mahamunihi
Maheshasya Mahamunihi
महाभागवतो राजन्
पितरं
परियोजयात्
Mayam energies. Vividishan desiring to know. Vishnu of the personality of Godhead. Maya Ishaya. Maya Ishasya of the master of all energies. Mahamunihi, the great sage. Mahabhagavataha, the first class devotee of the Lord. Rajan, O king. Pitaram, unto his father. Paryavsayat, very much pleased. Translation and purport by His Joint Grace Sulaisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation without repetition. Narada very much pleased his father and desired to know all about the energies of Vishnu, the master of all energies. For Narada was the greatest of all sages and greatest of all devotees. O king. Translation with repetition. Narada very much pleased his father and desired to know all about the energies of Vishnu, the master of all energies. For Narada was the greatest of all sages and greatest of all devotees. O king. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma, being the creator of all living beings in the universe, he is originally the father of several well-known sons like Daksha, the Chaturshana and Narada. In three departments of human knowledge disseminated by the Vedas, namely fruitive work, Karmakanda, transcendental knowledge, Jnanakanda, and devotional service, Upasana Kanda. Devarshi Narada inherited from his father Brahma devotional service, whereas Daksha inherited from his father fruitive work, and Sanaka, Sanatana, etc. inherited from their father information about Jnanakanda or transcendental knowledge. But out of them all, Narada is described here as the most beloved son of Brahma because of good behavior, obedience, meekness, and readiness to render service unto the Father. And Narada is famous as the greatest of all sages because of his being the greatest of all devotees. Narada is the spiritual master of many famous devotees of the Lord. He is the spiritual master of Prahlada, Dhruva, and Vyasa, down to the forest animal hunter Kirta. His only business is to turn everyone to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, all these features of Narada make him the dearmost of his father. And all this is due to Narada's being a first-class devotee of the Lord. The devotees are always anxious to know more and more about the Supreme Lord, the master of all energies. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 10.9, Machchita Madgatan Gata Prana Odayanta Parasparam Kathayantascha Ma Nityam Dushyanchicha Ramanticha. The Supreme Lord is unlimited and his energy is also unlimited. No one can know them better, them completely. Brahmaji, being the greatest living entity within this universe and being directly instructed by the Lord, must know more than anyone within this universe, although such knowledge may not be complete. Thus, it is the duty of everyone to ask about the unlimited Lord from the spiritual master in the disciplic succession of Brahma, which descends from Narada to Vyasa, from Vyasa to Sukadeva, and so on. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta Swami purport to text 42, chapter 9, canto 2 of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the matter of answers by citing the Lord's version. Om Jnana Timirandasya Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasevam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Padan Sagana Rita Sri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Vishnaprasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Bhutale Shukre Jaya Bhadra. So here in these shlokas we are hearing about two exalted personalities, illustrious father, illustrious son, and the kind of relationship that exists within them. A father may be having more than 1, 2, 3, 4 sons, but then the father is always having a doting son. You know what's the meaning of doting son? One is very dear than anybody else. So here, Brahmaji has got sons, but his most dear son is Narad Muni. Why? Because Narad Muni is glorified in so many ways. In the 5th canto, I think, Madhavji, in the 5th canto, I think somewhere in the purport, Prabhupada says, Narad Muni is the father of devotional service. And in the 10th chapter, 26th shloka, Krishna is saying that among all the great sages of the demigods, I am Narada. And I think in 6th canto or 5th canto, I interchanged. Narad Muni is being referred to as Bhagavan. Prabhu, this is too much. This oneness, some Mayavadi stuff. But we should see how qualitatively oneness is there in between Narada and Krishna. He is being referred to as Bhagavan. Who can get this exalted position? Only a worthy son of a worthy father. Isn't it? They say, no, somewhere in Mahabharata it comes. If a son is known by the father's name, that is not very great. But if the father is known by the son's greatness, that is very great. Isn't it? So here, Brahmaji, he is so much doting on his son, Narada. And Narada in turn, he is showing his fatherly affection by behavior, meekness and sense control. Three prominent, qualities that Narad Muni is displaying, and which is being appreciated here in the Bhagavatam. Before that, Brahmaji, being the greatest living entity within this universe and being directly instructed by the Lord, must know more than anyone within this Lord. So when previous slokas, is saying how Lord Brahma was meditating and then Lord comes and Lord Brahmaji pays obeisances. Then I think Lord shakes hands with Brahmaji. Do you know what it means? Supreme Personality of Godhead shakes hands with you. Where you'll be? Your feet will not touch the ground. Even among so many devotees, if your Guru Maharaj calls out, hey, come, then you walk, your walking becomes different. He also is on some elevator. And then in front of everybody, Guru is talking to one disciple, to you alone. And all are waiting, watching when this conversation will end and we'll have some common program. And that time you will be feeling like Satve Asman. So just imagine here, Lord is shaking hands with Brahmaji. I just got a reference here. This shaking hands or embrace. This is from Ramayana. Just hear this. When Sri Bhagavan is extremely pleased with the devotee, he embraces him, and only a very fortunate devotee gets to embrace Sri Bhagavan. When the divine associate Sri Hanuman returned from Lanka and conveyed Mother Sita's message to Sri Ramachandra, then Lord Ramachandra said, "Oh my dear Hanuman, you have helped me so much and I cannot give you anything in return. I thought about it and decided I would never be able to repay your debt." When the Lord found he could not give to Sri Hanuman anything, he said, "Oh Maruti, I'll give you everything that belongs to me." Saying thus, the Lord lifted Sri Hanuman, who was fallen at Lord's lotus feet, and embraced him tightly into his chest. This shows that his embrace is his topmost gift. The Lord further said, "O best of all monkeys, in this universe it is near impossible to receive my embrace. You are my devotee and supremely dear to me, hence I embraced you." Jai Shri Ram. Some indication. So, these are like very special moments. Even in the life of some disciples of Prabhupada, they used to say that my only inspiration was that Prabhupada saw me and he said, "Hari Bol," and the devotee whole life is inspired. There are so many devout disciples of Prabhupada who never did get so much personal association. But then just one indication, one gesture, and they fully dedicated. So what is this? This you cannot say it is something material. This embrace, this shaking hands, showing some gesture, these are all goes and touches the heart of the devotee. And that is what inspires the devotee, the disciple. We cannot see it only through external ways. But everyone is not fortunate enough. What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Kono Bhagyavan Ji. So who's the fortunate one? You? maybe you, anyone. So there is no other qualification of being fortunate, of getting the Lord's mercy. It is only one quality, one qualification. Kono Bhagyavan. So Bhagyavan comes from where? Nam Hanevara. What is written on the forehead? They say whatever is written on the forehead is all reverse. So you have to make it straight. You know, most people write left to right, but some people write right to right, right to left. That is why this hane should touch the ground. The most hardened substance is this hane. It doesn't bend. So if somebody bends the hane, that means he has some humility. And then whatever is written in reverse will start writing correctly. Who will write that? Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. So how did Narad Muni get this? Now they use the word hashtag. That's the new word now, tag, hashtag. How did Narad Muni get these qualities? The three main qualities written here: mannerly behavior, meekness, and sense control. Now this calls for some spiritual qualification. And what is the lever to measure if any one is considered to be a very high top class devotee? He can be measured through these levers. Kids are very active nowadays, more than their age. We are taught in our classes that the 3 S: sadhana, seva, and sadachar. This is the lever, how you can measure a devotee's barometer, devotional, how much is devotee. So what is sadhana? Sadhana is your quality of devotional service. How much you are chanting, how much Shravanam you are able to do, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, how much you are attracted to devotional life, to these devotional activities. I always remember this one Upadeshamrita Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. What he used to do, Sandhya Arati in the mutt, he will make one of the worst singers to sing Sandhya Arati. Then he will stand behind and see that everybody attends that kirtan. Nobody will go away from that Sandhya Arati. Now enjoy, release the holy name. Anyone will do this. Nowadays devotees peeping. Kaun ga raha hai? Wo aaj. Oh yeah. Sometimes it happens. Who is the speaker? He. Oh, I heard he's like this. I can take a break. And there are some singers, they will not sing unless there is a crowd. Kaun gayega yaar? Nobody is sitting there. Who will listen to my singing? So sadhana is very much important. First step. When anybody comes to the temple, first you tell them to do what? Chant Hare Krishna. If you tell them to go and clean bathrooms, he will say, my bathroom, your bathroom, what is the difference? But sadhana does not in itself may produce good results initially. But devotional service is very complete in itself. When we chant Hare Krishna, sincerely, those nice rounds we call them, then all the imports of Vedic knowledge appear in the heart. No need to read scriptures. But does that happen? And then our attachment to sadhana comes only when we are having seva ananda. You don't do service, seva, and seva is in the east corner, you'll do sadhana in the west corner, it will not last long. I have seen devotees, seva is in the east corner, they sit in the west corner to show I have to finish my rounds. But one has to do seva. Otherwise, the attachment to sadhana will not last long. Simply inquiring, jnana, Prabhu here, I want to hear, I want to hear, I want to hear. Hare Baba, you want to hear, then something has to come out. What goes in has to come out from the body. It's not a one-way zone. If we don't do seva, then our blunt senses will not get activated. And in due course of time, sadhana may fall off. Again, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's time, when Nalanda University professor used to come, sit with him and do charcha about philosophy. And Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur used to appreciate that and do charcha with him because he is an exalted professor. So one day he came and Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta was busy something. Then Prabhupada told him that if you have any questions, you ask the pujaris. Pujaris? I am a professor. Pujaris, what they do? Yani kani chapapani. But he had respect for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Okay. Then he went to the pujaris. Pujaris are sitting and cleaning the puja vessels. And they said, we'll finish this and then we can answer your queries. Meantime, sir, why don't you please come and do some marjana? So the professor also sat and cleaned the puja vessels. Then it got over. He saw Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is free. He went there. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur asked him, so what was those questions you wanted asking? No, Maharaj, all my questions have been answered. See? So Lord is seated in the heart. From Him comes knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness. So when we serve the Lord, when we serve the Lord's paraphernalia, when we serve the Lord's devotees, then the Lord is the first person to please the devotee, rather than anybody else. This we all need to understand. This is the secret of spiritual life. Before anyone, anything, it's the devotees who needs to be served first. First, Bhagavad Seva. Shastra, everything is there. But if you have some problems, where you search? 12 cantos, 108 Puranas, Upanishads, 18 Puranas, where you search? Or you have to go to this mini BBT library of Madhav Ranjan Prabhu. He has a range of books. He has got a fascination to collect books. He reads them. I heard he gave a very nice class, Hindi class, Sunday evening. मैं पूछा क्या बात के प्रभु पूरा भागवतम डाउनलोड कर दिया. I said, oh, then that means he's got so much attachment to Bhagavatam. That means the audience would have developed some taste to read Bhagavatam. But where did he get that inspiration from? Natural devotee. So sadhana and seva both are together. But if the person does not develop sadachar, behavior, good behavior, then what has he done? I was hearing one lecture and the speaker was saying that how one devotee in the ashram used to get up at 1:30 in the morning and he wanted to show everybody that he's getting 1:30 in the morning, then he'll sing Samsaradava loudly in the bathroom so that all others sleeping they should wake up or they should know that he is woken up. And then he'll chant very loudly 64 rounds, disturbing the other devotees' sleep. What happened? Nobody got along with him. Behavior, attitude. How many of you did Bhakti Shastri or doing Bhakti Shastri? What is the preface of Nectar of Instruction? Advancement in Krishna consciousness is seen by the attitude of the followers. Some sentence you have to mug up, my dear sir. Then only Bhakti Shastri will happen. This I very clearly remember in the preface of Nectar of Instruction. Attitude, behavior. And after some time, that devotee did not get along with anybody in the ashram. He is out. 64 rounds wala ended up in Vrindavan. As per the speaker, he ended up in a place where they are rolling beedies. See? So behavior, sometimes our devotees, behavior doesn't change in spite of being in the movement for such a long time. Because initially, when we do sadhana, we do seva, our behavior also we have to put some effort to have good behavior. Not that chanting will do everything. I am surrendered to holy name. Very nice if you have that mentality. But it doesn't happen overnight. So we have to also parallelly teach good behavior. Sometimes we tell the children, hey, attend class, come to kirtan, you should come to temple. We may enforce on the children. But if the child is unwilling, how to make a person take up devotional activity? It depends on the attitude, behavior of the senior. Isn't it? Behavior is very important. And here we see Narad Muni's behavior. Very meek. He accepts his father's authority. I can be surrendered to my father for his being an authority. But the next generation, they have to accept me. I can't enforce that. But I can enforce that, not enforce that, influence them in what way? Good behavior. Isn't it? You can't force your authorityship on somebody else. It has to come from the heart. I am a temple president. You obey me. I am a Bhakti Vriksha leader. You cannot go to the other Bhakti Vriksha. Even if you like them. Even if you don't like them, you have to be here with me. How much can you enforce? You cannot enforce. It has to come from the heart. So you have to understand this. Devotional life is from the heart. It's not external. Not some management book you pull out, page number, illustration and all that. This is how you should act. Managerially, I may accept you. Dandat Pranam Prabhu, you are my temple president. Fine. But don't enforce yourself upon me. You are my temple president, you are my GBC or so whatever, I will accept you in principle, in management principle. But for me to accept in heart, I should have that faith. I should have developed that respect. So you understood this? So behavior, sadhana, seva, sadachara. People outside this boundary wall, they will not see what sadhana and seva you are doing here. What will they see you? Sadachara. You get up morning 4:30 a.m. मेरा दिन तो 8 बजे शुरू होता है. What I know what is 4:30 a.m. Some people are there in Kali Yuga, they don't see sunrise and sunset also. Isn't it? I work in call center, Prabhu, 4 p.m. to 10 a.m. my duty. Where is sunrise, where is sunset for you? So unfortunate they are. So when we are representing ourselves as a sampradaya, when I say I am a Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Sampradaya follower, you know what? Then you have to represent Lord Brahma. We have to represent Narad Muni, Vyasadev, Madhvacharya. Leadership starts from there, but it doesn't end there. It is continuing the leadership. So what kind of leadership qualities one should have? It's all based on behavior. So sometimes a person, he may slip off in sadhana and seva, but if he has learned some good behavior in the institution, at least he is recognized as a good human being. Sadhana to छूट गया, सेवा भी छूट गया, at least sadachar, carry something with that, give it to the next generation. So as leaders, as devotees, moment we put tilak, kanti mala and shikha and chanting mala japa in your hand, we are not representing someone in the crowd. You walk in the crowd, some will recognize you. Hey, dekho, hey, there, the Hare Krishna is going. What? They think you are different from the Lord. So in devotional life, how much we should excel? Just think. So Narad Muni displayed that attitude of behavior towards his father. One instance. Who was that king? Priyavrata. From young age, Narad Muni was cultivating him. Brahmachari, bano, brahmachari, brahmachari, brahmachari. From young age. And Priyavrata, he did not have, tinge of material sense gratification. He was completely decided, I will remain brahmachari. And then when Lord Brahma heard that Priyavrata is going to be brahmachari, hey, what are you doing brahmachari? You have become king, so get married. And this is the order of the Lord, Lord Vishnu. What reaction Narad Muni displayed? Did he revolt? Just like some Bhakti Rikshas, remember, preachers say, oh, this devotee took away my Bhakti Riksha member. This center manager, he took away that family donor from me. Isn't it? Did Narad Muni display that? He said, oh, my father is saying this. Okay, Hare Krishna. Let him become Grahastha. Kya, Prabhu? I made him so much trained up to become brahmachari. ऐसे ही निकल गया, गृहस्थ बन गया, मेरे से पूछा भी नहीं वो. All my effort gone down. Sometimes we think like that, no? Some preachers. I trained him up to remain brahmachari. He went and got married up. Isn't it? Narad Muni said, okay, it is the desire of the Lord. Okay, let him become Grahastha. So this is the behavior that Narad Muni displayed. Nowadays you see, of the drop of the pin, heart put, they say, father, son, get out, go down, oh, I'll leave home and go. Finished, relationship is over. If there is some small revolt, happens or not? Relationship is now hanging on such a thin line of trust and faith. Why? Because there is no sadachar. What the father has, he can pass it on to the son. If the father is Kantan Gopala, what he will give to the son? So it says, illustrious father, illustrious son. Sometimes the equation doesn't work like Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada. Isn't it? But Hiranyakashipu as a father was very doting on Prahlada. Oh my dear son, what did you learn? All that chikni chupri, all that happened. Moment he said Vishnu, that's it. So this is about mannerly behavior. Now comes the next platform. What is that? Meekness. If you see the dictionary meaning, meekness means humility. One is very humble. Humility comes how? Humility comes only when you are surrendered to an authority. If you don't have an authority in human life, in this your life, meekness will never come. Whether spiritual life, material life, meekness, humility will come only when I have a spiritual authority. That means I am surrendered to a person from whom I am receiving shiksha. Sometimes there is one syndrome here in ISKCON. After some few years of devotional life, I become senior devotee. Now I am in a position not to accept from anyone any instruction. I will only give upadesha. I'll only do counseling. I'll only do preaching. Come to me. I'm sitting here. Why don't you ask me what you want? Then what happens? How the meekness will be there? How the humility will be there? Sometimes you also go into some kind of casual relationship with our superiors also. They, out of the humility, they will also talk casual with you. But will there be any exchange of upadesha? Nothing. Casual talk. This Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, till Arjuna surrendered, both were talking like friends only. Where was the seriousness? Where was the upadesha? Only when Arjuna surrendered, please accept me as your disciple, then upadesha flowed. Therefore, always remember, however great a personality one may become in life, but still he is submissive to one authority. Don't be authorityless. No, I need not have to learn anything from anybody. I am self-sufficient. Here itself is saying, Lord Brahma, the first person, he has got all of the knowledge, but still may not be complete. As Srimad Bhagavatam, in this canto itself, no, second canto, Chatur Shloki, Lord Brahma understood Bhagavatam in 4 slokas. So brains. Then how 4 shlokas became 18,000 shlokas? That is another discussion we'll have later. But I want to say this, that somebody even in such a exalted situation, Acha, that reference is there. After shaking hands with Brahmaji, Lord Vishnu shaked hands, then Brahmaji is praying, my dear Lord, I pray that you please bless me and don't become puffed up. But there was another instance in that Brahma Vimalila. Lord Brahma, his 4 heads, God went for a swing. Isn't it? So meekness is seen that when we surrender to an authority. Submissiveness or weakness. So how meekness will also come? Meekness also comes through one other way. When we always think, meditate and talk about those who are on an elevated platform, those devotees. Tushyanchitta ramanticha. It does not only apply to Lord, it applies also to pure devotees. About your mentor, about your shiksha mentors. We should talk about them. We should discuss about them, their instructions. Then what happens? We remain. This is another way how we can develop meekness. And meekness also will come when we follow the instructions of the Lord, just as in Shikshashtakam. We wear these 3 garlands every day before we sit down to chant Hare Krishna. What are the 3 garlands? Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishunana, amanina manatena, kirtanya sadhana. Only when we put these 3 garlands around our neck, then can we chant Hare Krishna 24/7. This is the meaning. Otherwise one can't do 24 hours kirtan. One devotee told Prabhupada, I will go to Vrindavan and simply chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, chant 22 hours Hare Krishna. Gasp for breath. 22 hours Prabhupada, 2 hours, other activities. Idea is dropped. So, Kirtanya Sadahari happens when this happens. And Trinadapi, humble than blade of grass, more tolerant. कितना वैराग्य है वो, मरकट वैराग्य, sitting in the tree and chanting, so sattvic. So these 3 garlands we have to wear around our neck when we sit down to do our sadhana every day. In fact, we should chant all the 8 shlokas mantras. So, behavior, meekness, and then we have this sense control. Narada is a perfect sense control person. What do you mean by sense control? That when there is a cause for disturbance, a person is not disturbed. Such a person is known as Dhira. So Narad Muni, he had perfect sense control. One example is given about how even though he is a brahmachari and is preaching to some women, lady, exalted lady, he doesn't come under influence of Maya. He doesn't get influenced. What is the instance given? That in Krishna book you read about Rukmini Devi. She had kind of surrendered herself to marry Shishupal. Who broke her meditation? Narada. He went and preached to her about Krishna's glories. And she changed her mind. And she developed attachment for Krishna. Sometimes it happens here also. Some brahmachari tries to go and influence for an alliance, he falls into the pit. Hota hai ki nahi? At least I heard. I said, Prabhu, what happened? No, I went there to do that alliance. I only got involved in that. He got married. See the power of preaching? Prabhupada also mentions in another instance where Narad Muni takes Hiranyakashipu's wife to his ashram, Kayadu. Narad Muni, Prabhupada writes in purport, it's not appropriate for a brahmachari to take an expectant mother to the ashram alone and sit there and preach to her. Will it be allowed in this society nowadays? There will be a mini Mahabharata in the house. But Narad Muni did that. Why? Perfect sense control. And the higher purpose he knew, that there is a pure devotee in the womb. Then another instance of sense control. Narad Muni, he had the great desire to be in the Rasa Leela of Krishna. So he thought how to get into this Rasa Leela. Then he prayed to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gave him the mantra. Chant this mantra in Vrindavana. So Narad Muni chanted that mantra. Then Vrinda Devi appeared. Narada, what do you want? Mata, can I enter into the Rasa Leela, Ashtakalya Leela of the Lord? Will Vrinda Devi allow? Anyone like that? So she said, I'll allow you. Why? Because Narada was in perfect sense control. He had no tinge of lust. Only those who don't even have is much of lust, they can enter into this ultimate prema rasa. So then in Vrindavan there is Kusum Sarovar. Near that there is Narada Kunda. So Vrinda Devi told him, go and take a dip in that Kunda. Then Narada Muni went and takes a dip in that Kunda. He comes out like a gopi. Narada Gopi. And then he enters the Rasa Leela. And after that, Krishna is very pleased with him. Narada, you have displayed such sense control, such purity, that I want to bless you with something. What is that? You sit here in Vrindavan and write this book, Narada Bhakti Sutra. Because you are the epitome of bhakti. Then Narad Muni reminds the Lord, my dear Lord, I am under curse now. I can't stay in one place for long. Who cursed him? Daksha? Somebody cursed him? Huh? Daksha cursed him. You're going around spoiling family life. You are not going to remain in one place. Then Lord Krishna says, Arey Baba chodo. That is all material curse. This is Vrindavana. Mera hukum chalta hai. You stay here and write that book. Here material laws don't work in Vrindavana. Then Narad Muni stays there and writes this book. Narada Bhakti Sutra. And then is such an exalted devotee Narad Muni, he writes one more book. What is that? Narada Pancharartika Vidhi. What is that? How to do deity worship. So you see these two exalted books written by him. And then Narada Muni, he has a string of disciples. Dhruva, Prahlada, Prachetas. Whom all he has not influenced, tell me. The whole Bhagavatam, I see, he is. Mane, what is his job? Tell us. Say that. He pushes everyone into devotional paths. You need, no? Every one of us does need. How I can get pushed into devotional paths? Thoda patri, we go offline, then somebody should pull us back. One time, you might have heard this, Prabhupada was going on a walk, then the discussion was about who is superior, Guru or Shastra? Then Prabhupada said, Guru is superior to Shastra. Then I think Satswarup Maharaj, he had a doubt. What if Guru leaves, goes away? Shastra, everything pakka. We can get all answers. Everything is there. But Guru may be there, may not be there then. Then he asked Prabhupada. But Prabhupada, what if Guru leaves and goes away? Shastra, everything is so pakka. Then Prabhupada stops walking, puts his cane in the sand, catches hold of the devotee's ears and twists it nicely. Only Guru can correct you. Shastras cannot correct you. Prabhupada ki jai. See? So correcting us is so important. If we don't get corrected, then with whom we can compete? Is there any competitor? I am the boss. Isn't it? If there is no correction. So, where was I? Correction. So that's why it is very important that we surrender to a Shiksha, Guru. In our spiritual life, in our everyday life, we need to have a mentor. And then we have Narad Muni with his Veena. Have you seen his Veena? Narada Muni Veena Bajaye Radhika Ramane Name. Who gave that Veena to him? Lord Krishna. He sings so nicely, so beautifully. As late as maybe 30-40 years before, Prabhupada said in one Rath Yatra, see, Narada Muni, they're dancing in the sky. Did you see? When the Rath Yatra is going on. And he sings so beautifully. That is why he came back again with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Srivas Pandit. And what they used to have? Srivas Angan. How many have been to Srivas Angan? You seen there? Only devotees, Vaishnavas allowed, no Brahmanas even. Brahmana is not qualified to be in that evening kirtan. And whole night there used to be such big kirtan. So such an illustrious devotee, almost equal to the Lord. and displaying such nice qualities. It's not that these qualities are out of our reach. Good behavior, meekness, sense control, these are all part of our devotional life. So chanting is not the only devotional activity we need to do. Because our senses are so blunt that we need to do variety, and Prabhupada gave us all that. He gave us variety of devotional activity so that we don't get bored doing one kind. Isn't it? And then what else is there about Narad Muni? Nowadays you can go on glorifying him. And then there is another topic here, eagerness to hear. Where is this? Yes, I told you in the beginning of class. Eagerness to hear. Consider the situation what I told before. Bhagavatam was just 4 slokas. Then in the next chapter, you will see that Narad Muni is inquiring about 10 subject matters. Sarga, Visarga and all this. So it became 10. Then after that, it becomes extended to 18,000 slokas. So how does this Shastra expand? From 4 to 18,000. Only one quality. What is that? Shravanam. Eagerness to hear. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita also 4 slokas. So Narad Muni is such an exalted devotee. With 4 slokas, got over. But Narad Muni is saying, Brahmaji. Then Narad Muni, he wants more expansion, to be expanded. Just like Prabhupada's purports, Prabhupada in one quote is saying that these purports are better than me. She's so humble. So if you study my purports, it's as good as understanding me, better than me. So who is more important here? Grantha Bhagavat, Bhakta Bhagavat. And today we see we having this Grantha Bhagavat here. Just for display? What for? Prabhupada says, 11 months what you did sitting inside the temple, 12th month you show it outside. Go out and distribute. Let people see what you are doing 11 months. 12th month you go out and give to others. I often say this, and I released saying this. Very old time, maybe 15 years before, I and 2 other devotees used to go to Brigade Road and distribute Bhagavad Gita. And I tell you, those who actually want Bhagavad Gita, they'll come to us and say, "Oh, you are here. I've been searching everywhere. Where are you? Okay, give one book, take money." That's it. They go away. And there are some others, they come arm in arm, walking from that Monte Arcade to Gangaram, on that pavement. Then we go and show them Bhagavad Gita, Lelo. They'll tell, Swamiji, he won the jaga namaskara bitpidi. He'll barbadi. Don't come here. Please leave this place for us. But we say, okay, why not here? Here also. But they'll never buy one book. They'll be marching from that end to this end of the pavement. That's gratification, but they'll never come and buy a book. So let us make good effort. We are discussing here one shloka, 45 minutes. There is 18,000 shlokas. There are some calculation done by some book distributors. If you read 44 or 78 pages per day, then you may be able to complete Bhagavatam in 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. So Prabhupada said, I spent sleepless nights translating Bhagavatam. You at least spend your sleepless day and read Bhagavatam. Isn't it? Let us repay back the debt. Some debt. Can we repay back? Krishna is saying to the gopis, Krishna is even saying to here, Lord Ramachandra is telling to Hanuman, I can't repay back your debt. Similarly, a disciple cannot repay back the debt of the spiritual master. But something can be done. So therefore, we need to understand that by glorifying the pure devotee of the Lord, we can also get purified. Everyone try to put your hand in your pocket. Do you have any sukurti with you? Do you have? We don't have. The who gives sukurti? Devotees give. Pure devotees give. Acharyas give. And we have to develop that bank deposit. Not any other account, DMAT and FD and all that. This Sukriti deposit also we should grow. So that we'll be qualified to serve the Lord. So therefore, the secret of our spiritual life success is how much we are able to do devotee worship. How much we are able to give respect to devotees. How much we are able to serve the devotees. Then knowingly, unknowingly we are entering the spiritual life. And then some moment will come, the devotee takes off. Have you seen some devotees take pride? You know that brahmachari, sir? I made him devotee. अरे वो तो बन गया, तुम कहाँ रह गए? No, I made him devotee, na. That's the pride he takes. See? So, father and son relationship, we can derive inspiration from this shloka. How a father needs to be with his son, how the son needs to reciprocate with the father, and then both can become very illustrious. And they will be known in the entire Tribhuvana. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Narada gave Darsana multiple times. So in one of the lectures, Radhavin Maharaj explains that because of his oneness and purpose with the Lord. That is one of the explanations. So this identical with, you are saying that Bhagavan can get his purpose is same with the Lord.
Purpose and oneness in quality. He represents pure bhakti. Isn't it? So he is almost equal to the Lord. That's why he is addressed as Bhagavan. He is addressed. Others also could be addressed. Lord Shiva is also addressed as Bhagavan. But a pure devotee getting addressed as equal to the Lord is something very great. On the pure devotional platform, sometimes the Lord takes a subordinate role to the devotee. Isn't it? And he gets derived treasure from that. The devotee doesn't hanker for that. But sometimes the Lord takes pleasure when he plays being a subordinate to the pure devotee. Yes, sir. Oh. Correct. It is said that if you have to do deity service, then you have to go to the deities that do service. But when you sit and do kirtan, deity will come to you and hear the kirtan. Isn't it? Who is that Vithala Panduranga? Pundarik. He throws the brick. Wait, I have to serve my parents and then I look at you. Lord waits with one hand on his hips. Maybe he got a back pain standing on the brick.
And the last statement is that if other mood you are singing with other mood or you are enjoying anything, it means that's the Kali mood, not the devotional mood.
Kirtan is for the pleasure of the Lord. Huh?
Every devotional service is for the pleasure of God.
Yeah, you wanted to ask something? Good afternoon. Huh? Huh?
Vishnu asked him, while doing that activity, did you at any point of time did you
Remember.
did you remember me? So he said no. To which Vishnu said, to which Vishnu said to him that farmer only says remembers him only his rice while eating food. One said morning, one said afternoon, one said evening. That's why he is his favorite. So is this any true relevance to this?
See, Puranas, they give us anecdotes, upakhyam, moral stories. So, between the Lord and his pure devotees, they do this role playing and they give us these short stories for us to make us understand that don't claim to be very senior and elevated devotee of the Lord. What Lord is trying to convey in that moral story, which actually has happened, is in the Puranas, that you being a brahmachari, you are 24/7 into my devotional activities. But you should also give due credit that there is a farmer who is doing his daily activities and still is able to remember me. So, to remember, is there something going on? To remember your normal duties of life is much more considered what you call devotional than one who is always in devotional life. Like farmer, he is a grahastha. So he is doing his devotional activity, but he is remembering the Lord. That is very important. Krishna tells to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, Mam anusmare yuddhacha. Arjuna, you go on killing everybody, but do it as a offering to me. Remember me. So this is the most difficult part. Then when you do a particular activity, you are so engrossed in that activity that you don't remember the Lord. But one who does that simultaneously, then he is considered to be a very elevated devotee. So this is the moral in that story. That even though this farmer is going on doing his everyday chore activity, he is able to remember me. And this is how we should conduct ourselves in our everyday life. Krishna is telling in which part, Bhagavad Gita, if you see the sun and moon, you should remember me that it is the two eyes of my, they are my two eyes. You are feeling thirsty. You drink water. What gets quenched? That word, quenched. Pyas. That is me. Krishna is saying, when your thirst gets quenched, you remember me. Not that you remember yourself. Oh, now I am so much relaxed. My thirst is quenched. But that is Krishna. So Krishna is saying, giving us different ways of how we can remember Him. Understood the point? So this is a lesson for us that in spite of being busy 24/7, we still have time to remember the Lord. I'll tell you one very funny thing which I keep telling. This temple, this wall was not broken. It was closed. Compound wall. The neighborhood didn't know there was a temple here. 10 years. Then we broke the wall. ಬಹಳ ಚಂದ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯವರೇ. You did a very nice thing, committee. You broke the wall. We never knew there was a temple. Okay, one credit. What is the second small credit? Now we need not have to come into the temple also. Stand on the road, beat the galla cheeks, give one flying kiss to the Lord and go away. They have told this. Bala chanda madidira. You broke the wall. Those who knew there was a temple, now we need not have to come inside the temple. I'll beat my cheeks, give a flying kiss to the Lord. Lord, you be there, I am going. I have my work to do. Now you see, that is better than those who don't turn towards the Lord. So these are moral stories. There is another moral story that Narad Muni is thinking whether Maya can do any sparsha to me. Isn't it? So like that, these moral stories are there for us to remind us. Baba, don't think yourself on a very elevated platform. In spiritual life, it is inversely proportionate. The more you think you are advanced, the more you become meek and humble. And the more you start thinking, everybody else is devotee except me. You understood? I am saying one who is actually elevated. Uttama Adhikari. Okay, okay. You understood the point? Yes. I told in the beginning of the class, father may have 4 sons, but all 4 may not be equally on that platform. In one sense, they're equal. He looks after everybody of them equally. But among them, one may be the doting son. And here is mentioned, see, Narad Muni inherited from his father Brahma devotional service. That is the highest. Others are Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and but he is Bhakti Kanda. See, all four sons cannot be equal, no? Each one are born with their. So, and each one receives knowledge accordingly and he acts, they act. Daksha is for, what is it? Karma Kanda. Isn't it? Fruitive. Sanatana, they were in Jnana Kanda. But Narad Muni from very young age, in fact in his previous birth if you see, what did he inherit? The hunter got enlightened. So, dearmost means what? Dearmost means that there is something special about this person. That's why he is a doting son. Okay, we end here or is some chirkut? I can't do sitting here. It is not for announcements. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Sri Narad Muni